across the world to this webinar dialogue, distinguished dialogue with Mr. Michael Hilti. My name is Kaval Ramachandran. I'm the Executive Director and Professor at the Schmidheiny Center for Family Enterprise at the Indian School of Business. So very briefly about the center, which was set up with a generous donation from Dr. Schmidheiny. We started our journey actually in 2003. By 2006-07, we got funding from Dr. Schmidheiny's side, and then we started expanding. We do a lot of activities on variety of friends on family business. We do research, we write cases, we publish papers, we have training programs. We have a part-time MBA program on family business, modular MBA program on family business. We have a biannual conference, business and academic conference on family business. And the next conference is coming up in the first weekend of February 2022. So we do a lot of webinars also, thanks to the new technology and the current conditions. Okay, so without spending any more time on what we do, we will be reaching out to you through your email IDs with our whatever we are doing as we go along. But let us focus on today's session. This is a very interesting session with Mr. Michael Hilti. Before introducing him, let me also tell you that Mr. Michael Hilti and the Hilti Corporation are very, very important, very close to my heart because of the way the organization is built up, because of the way the corporation is managed. It is known for the values, the corporate values. It's not just preaching, but in terms of the implementation, living of the values by everybody within the corporation. It's known for the trusteeship practices, not only the ownership part of the trust, but also the trusteeship part practices, the custodianship orientation across the organization. It's a phenomenal organization, and that's why Hilti has been repeatedly rated as one of the best corporations to work for. So you will have a treat ahead during this webinar dialogue. Let me very briefly introduce Mr. Hilti. Mr. Hilti was elected Honorary Chairman of the Board of Directors at the 2018 Annual General Meeting and has been a member of the Board of Directors since 1990. The son of company founder, Professor Martin Hilti, he joined Hilti in 1975. 1 year later, he was named to the company's executive board. He served as Deputy CEO from 1978. In 1990, he was named CEO, a position he held until the end of 1993. He was Chairman of the Board of Directors from 1994 to 2006. Michael Hilti further serves as a trustee of the Martin Hilti Family Trust, which controls the ownership from the family side. As chairman of the Hilti Art Foundation, which is also very active. As the chairman of the Hilti Family Foundation, Liechtenstein, and as a member of the board of the Hilti Foundation. He has held numerous directorships, including being named a princely commerce counselor by his Serene Highness Prince Hans Adam Swan of Liechtenstein, and was also awarded the title Honorary Senator by the University of St. Gallen and the University of Liechtenstein. So we are going to have a very exciting time, and the person who is going to lead the dialogue, lead the discussion, is my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Nupur Pavan. Nupur has been with the center for several years. Nupur is leading our research activities. She's an associate director at the Schmidheiny Center for Family Enterprise. She comes from a traditional business family, that is adding to the to the what is reputation and appropriateness of Nupur to lead this conversation. So over to you, Nupur, and I, along with everybody else, look forward to this interesting conversation.
Thank you so much, Professor Ram. Mr. Hilti, I must tell you that it is my absolute honor to be moderating this session today. So, audiences, under the stewardship of Mr. Michael Hilti, Hilti has come a long way since the company was founded in 1941. In 2020, Hilti had a revenue of 5.3 billion Swiss francs or $5.8 billion. So let me just quickly take you through a brief snapshot of the Hilti financials, which will give you an idea of the strong returns that Hilti provides to the shareholders, which is basically the trust, the Hilti Trust, the Martin Hilti Family Trust. As you can see, the return on sales, return on capital employed, they are very, very high. In spite of being the COVID year in 2020, they still have very, very robust cash flows. They have a very strong return on sales. And as I said, that the Martin Hilti Family Trust is a 100% shareholder of the Hilti Corporation. Now we will hear from Mr. Michael Hilti how the trust and the company, they have a multi-layer governance structure, and how does this governance structure works to ensure that there is continuity, there is synergies between the values of the family and the company. There is the interests of the family are aligned with that of the company, and so on. Another thing that I would like to basically mention is that in many parts of the world, the brand Hilti has become synonymous with the product itself. So I was talking to somebody today morning, and when I mentioned that I'm going to interview or moderate a session with Mr. Michael Hilti, that person happens to be in the construction industry, and he tells me, oh, in India, we don't take the name of the product. We say, let's Hilti it. So that's how synonymous the Hilti products have become in the construction industry. So let's have a quick look at what the customers of Hilti actually say about Hilti. We'll look at a very small video of the Hilti Corporation.
Ideas, team members who develop solutions, which are years ahead. Some say the intensity of how they prove their innovations is extreme. Most advanced in-house manufacturing made this company the envy of the industry. It is the preferred brand with the most dedicated people, strongest innovations for construction professionals. Feel the performance.
Não, imagina mover, tá? gegenüber anderen Maschinen super geregelt.
Wenn ich ganzen Leute erkläre, ich möchte die nicht mehr wissen auf der Baustelle. See the solutions.
Pues Hilti y los años que lleva Hilti en el mercado. Y pues, Hilti es una marca que lleva muchos años y hasta fecha de hoy está cumpliendo muy bien con todas las expectativas.
Discover the difference.
Ik heb vroeger nog met andere materiaaltypes gewerkt en als je dan met een Hilti gewerkt hebt, dan voelt je het verschil.
Vaut mieux investir dans le multi que d'investir de la merde et puis ça ne prend pas de valeur.
Experience Hilti.
So without much ado, let's hear from Mr. Michael Hilti. So Mr. Hilti, on the surface, it actually looks like it's been a very, very hunky-dory or, from the periphery, it seems like you've had many more hits than misses. But the journey of 80 years, it could not have been without ups and downs. So could you narrate any incidents or a decision that stands out to you when you faced a major crisis? And what did you do then? How did you handle the situation?
Well, of course, if you're 80 years old as a company, you go through crisis. My father went through crisis. I remember the days in the 60s, early 60s, when a distributor tried to take us over. Then when I joined the company in 75, we had a massive management problem. My father had a severe heart attack in 1972. He formed a new executive board in 1973. And the problem was these people didn't work together really. They were fighting for succession. There was a lot of demotivation. There was mobbing. There was all kind of things. And if you go through this experience and you learn how much damage you can create to a company, to the people, and how much time and energy you waste, I think this was a fantastic experience. You can't get in university. They don't teach, they teach you, but you have to experience it. You have to go through that. And that was a thing where I think had a long-lasting impact on me, how we structured in the future management and how we do business.
Right, so
there was another one we had in, in 80, 82. There was a sharp recession. First time we couldn't balance the Western Hemisphere with Europe. And then it showed really that we had a management in many countries which was not prepared for change, which even was resisting to change. And okay, if you do that, there's only one solution. You have to change the management. And that led then to, we'll talk later about the culture in 1985 when we started the program. Okay, but in 85, we also realized our innovation machine was stuttering. And also there we went on, changed a lot of people, changed the way we work, the process we work. I think we learned always out of this. And of course, we had now the COVID crisis. And the COVID crisis went extremely smooth in our company, like business as usual, because we have now a system where we do not make a 3-year planning anymore. We have a system which goes beyond budgeting, where we roll always every 4 months for another 12 months. And the people, local people, have the responsibility to act, and they act very fast. So I think you must go through the crisis and you must go through bad times to learn out of them.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of the crisis that you've gone through has actually set the stage for many of the things which Hilti is actually known for. For example, the continuity. Hilti is known for continuity in leadership, in values, in making sure that the goals continue, and there is a lot of predictability as far as the stakeholders are concerned, without any disruption to the company in any eventuality. So, how do you ensure this continuity, and how do you communicate continuity to your stakeholders? What is your strategy to communicate continuity?
Important is continuity and stability. It's not the person as such. It's that you keep on the focus and the direction. So that means if if somebody follows you up, you have this people and managers who do the same, go in the same direction, which we all agreed to go. And this is, of course, something which is very extremely important. That's why we have a principle. We only promote internal candidates to the executive board. We learned also that if you bring people from outside in, they look sometimes very good in interviews, but then suddenly you realize they don't live your culture. They go different ways as we do. And that gives disruptions, again, problems, internal problems. And doing this principle since many years, we found out is a very successful recipe.
Right. So, Mr. Hilti, what is your plan for the next generation? You have a very strong culture of communicating any changes to leadership quite well in advance. So, what's your plan for the future in terms of continuity of leadership?
Well, it's just by coincidence you asked this question today, because we just published the next move for the next 2 years for the trust, top functions in trust, in the board of directors, as well as the executive board. And that sounds maybe very strange that you do it 2 years ahead. What we want when we have, okay, there are 2 reasons. One reason is some people have reached their age limit or their terms in the office. We have here clear regulations and rules. And the other thing is our principle also that we try whenever possible, if a new CEO steps in, that he already with his team develops a new strategy. And we are now just at the end of the old strategy. So our present strategy will end of 22. That means we start now the strategy work, especially next year. And the new CEO, he will be freed from his present functions, and he will be completely concentrate on the strategy development. Because we are convinced that it's always best if the team who has to implement the strategy also develops it.
Right. So what's the best communication strategy? I mean, you communicated 2 years in advance, so it actually gives a lot of time for people to settle in, time for people to digest the changes that's going to happen. So
yeah, of course, if you only promote internal people, it needs a really disciplined and long-term strategic management planning. How you develop the successes. And this is something that the board has to do. And we take a lot of time in our board to check, okay, which pools talents come up, to how can we move them, how we can promote them, how can they do a different function, and we see how they're doing. And, bringing only internal people to these positions in the executive board means their performance, what they deliver, how they are developing people. It's very important. If somebody doesn't develop the people and he's not the right manager and leader, you realize to what extent they work as a team and in a team. And you also realize you have a clear evidence if they live the culture or not. Right. These are the 4 key factors. And if they are okay, then you have a chance to get in.
Yes. So, Mr. Hilti, we have close to 100 participants right now. And the participants will also be typing in their questions as we interact. So I'll try to blend in as many questions as I can in our interaction. Now, you just spoke about the Next Gen program that Hilti has announced today morning. Similar to the Next Gen program, you also have a culture program. Now, this is quite unique because a lot of corporations talk about culture, but the kind of money and the kind of time that Hilti spends on its culture program, it is more like a strategy built into the corporation globally. So how do you do it? And Professor Dr. Pius Pesqueira, who's the speaker of the Martin Hilti Family Trust, and you've categorically said that culture is your secret to success. No, so can you tell us something about the culture program of Hilti?
The culture is not a strategy. It has become a DNA, part of our DNA. And I told you about the problems we had in the past, when management was fighting, then innovation was stuttering. And we realized we have to do something else. We have to open up. We have to create a different working atmosphere. And we had a management meeting in '85, and we talked about leadership with an outside coach there, which was hopeless in the end. But nevertheless, we came ourselves to the conclusion we want to have a common corporate culture. That's easy said. Okay, we started defining key values. And then we said, okay, we make a program where everybody in the company goes through, all over the world, including the board of directors. We did that, and there was a second, camp or seminar for the managers. And this started in '85 until 2003. And then we were awarded by the Bertelsmann Foundation for excellent corporate culture. And exactly the same year, we realized that's not enough. You could sit back and say, okay, now we're great. But we have, in our DNA is also a permanent unrest. We can do it better. And we realized, okay, it's fantastic what you can achieve with the good corporate culture, how people work together, how a team works together, but you have to do more. And we started then a new program, which we call our culture journey, because it's a journey. And that means everybody in the company, now 30,000, go every 2 years through a culture camp, including also the board, where we address certain issues to become better. And this is a continuous way now, and has the benefit is fantastic. Now you can say, how you do this? We were looking also at that time in 2002 and 2003, is there somebody in the market who can help us to do this? We realized there's nobody. So we said, okay, then let's do it ourselves. And we have now, we have a central department here who is working on the development of the culture. But we have locally, about 70 internal Sherpas. We call them Sherpas because it's a journey and they carry also some load for us. So they translate the values we have, in the local values. If you talk about integrity, for example, or courage, and this may be different defined here in Liechtenstein or in the US than in Japan. How you transform that? And that's essential.
Yes.
Yeah, we spend about, I would say, roughly, 10 million, a little bit more even each year for that. But the payback is unbelievable. So, and culture, you cannot create a culture in 2 years. It's a permanent process, permanent and hard work, but it's good.
Right. Your board of directors play a very big role in the culture program. In fact, you have you actually have your board of directors spending a lot of time on this program. So how do you convince your board to spend so much time on a program, and how do you convince them to give so much time to Hilti?
We make it very clear from the beginning when we look for them. We say, okay, you have to spend at least 20 to 25 days a year. It's already something a lot of boards don't expect. Because when we look at our board meetings, we have 4 regular board meetings a year. Right. They're always 2 days. We used to have in the old days 1 day, but we realized we had never time to really talk about strategic issues. So the second day is always reserved for strategic issue. The next thing is we have 1 board meeting where we go out in the regions. We have several regions all over the world. And board members travel then 2 days with the sales force, with the engineer. They see customers and they start understanding the business. And I think it's fantastic. It's a win-win situation. We realize the customers say, a board member comes to me. I never saw a board member of a supplier. So he sees he's appreciated. the board member starts understanding and really what is really happening. So you can do a lot of PowerPoint, but reality looks different then. So you are in the car with your salesman, with the saleswoman, or whoever it is. So you have a long dialogue these 2 days. You are with the management together. And then we sit together somewhere and talk. And that means that normally a week goes by. That's why you come up into 20 days. And of course, on top of that comes then the culture program, where we also go the journey. We, for example, have the next one in May this year.
Sure.
So, the board member, we want a working board. That's important. And then that's why we also, the composition is, we look at okay, is there a value alignment? But on the other side, we look, okay, very high competence. What do we need today? What also do we need in the future? And that's important.
So, if there is a conflict between board members, or if there is a conflict in the top management, how do the conflicts get resolved?
Well, I think we don't have really conflicts. What we have, it's also part of our culture. We are pretty tough on the subject, sometimes very, very tough, and challenging each other. But in the end, we come to the same conclusion. Okay. And I went personally to a personal experience many years ago. At that time in the executive board, we had 3 decisions where we are not the same. We had there was a majority who overruled the other one, and all the 3 were wrong in the end. And that was learning that, okay, if you have a completely difference in your board, better sleep at night, come back, talk again, because maybe somebody the other side has more information or sees something which the others don't see, and that's always helped. So.
Is diversity and inclusion something which Hilti very consciously incorporates in its corporate strategy?
Very much, very much. We see the value of diverse teams very much. We promote this. Also, it's a long way, but this is important, and we see it also becoming a part of DNA.
Right. Similarly, innovation is part of the DNA of Hilti, and Hilti has also been ranked amongst the most innovative companies globally on many different parameters, many different rankings. So how has innovation been incorporated into the culture of Hilti?
Innovation, we have 4 values. Okay, it's integrity, it is courage, it is teamwork, and it's commitment.
Right.
And innovation is mainly driven by courage. Courage to look or think the unthinkable, to do things differently, to go out of the box. And this has really helped. And then if you combine this with a very strong teamwork, where people, regardless for which area they work together very closely with a common target, tremendous effect. And that's why it's also, when we started in the beginning, from the experience in '85, this was the starting point. How do we get the innovation running and better?
Right. Mr. Hilti, it's very, it's new for us, at least in India, that across all leadership positions, Hilti has non-family members at the helm of affairs. You have a non-family CEO, a non-family chairman of the corporation. You have a non-family speaker of the Martin Hilti Family Trust. So is there anyone from the next gen who's ready to become the family or business leader going forward? And how does the alignment between family and non-family members happen?
First of all, our family is very thin. So, we were the second generation, was 3 brothers and 1 daughter. And my sister has passed away, and the 2 other brothers are not in the business, so I'm the only one. They are in the trust, active as a protectors. And we have 1 daughter. She's now turning 34. And my youngest brother has no kids, and the second brother, he has 3 kids. The one is 33, is living in the US, is at the moment in completely different business, and 2 very youngsters with 12 years. So we have nearly a 4th generation here. Yeah? So we are very limited as far as family is concerned, but that doesn't matter. What we look is qualification. That is the rule of the game. We say, okay, it's so important that all the boards, is the protectors in the trust, is it the trustees in the trust, is it the board of directors of Hilti AG, is the executive board, they're highly qualified, top qualified. We want excellent people. And this secures the development of the company. And when you say, where's the alignment between the family, the trust, and the company, this is on one side in the trust deed, where we have put down basic guiding principles, how we want to act and how we want to work and how we do work together. And we want to be a company which creates sustainable value. So it's not a charity society. We want the high performance, and clearly we want to be a leader in our industry, and we want to be absolutely excellent. Right. So there's we have a culture of, I would say, of care and perform, and it works very well together, because people like to be in a successful team.
Of course. So, Mr. Hilti, is your daughter is joining the board, or she's already joined the board?
No, he's joining the board next year. But we announced now, we have a change. We have a change. As I said, in the trust, the speaker will step down and being replaced by somebody who is in trust already, yeah. Yes. Then we have the chairman will step down at the end of 22.
Okay.
The CEO will become chairman. So there's also a new CEO. So you have a completely, the pyramid is changing. Maybe when you look that the CEO becomes chairman, it's normally not regarded as good corporate governance, but we have made a really good experience with that. We did not always the same. We did not always do this, but in the most cases we did this because we want that this chairman also is very deeply involved in the understanding of our business, and also allocates about 50% of his time for that.
So you also have 3 ex-CEOs on the board of Hilti right now, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, I'm the honorary chairman, so I'm out.
No, but how do you work together? How does this work? How does the board work with so many ex-CEOs and chairmen on the board, and then you have a new chairman coming in and so on?
I think there are 2 things. One is the culture we have.
Yes.
That is not a question of hierarchical, where you stand, what position you have. It's the question what you can contribute, regardless of your position. I think that's very important. And that you are very open among each other. And the second thing is here that when we always do this transaction, we sit together and discuss once again the role play. What is your role? What is my role? And even fix that. I think that is extremely important, that we are all aligned who plays what role. And when in case you violate this role, we can come back and say, look, we agreed this, and we don't do this. Because we don't want that the old guys blow the back others of the young guys. So we want that they bring the experience in and to help even to find better solutions. But this role understanding is so important.
Of course. So, Hilti has a multi-layered governance. You were talking about protectors and beneficiaries and trustees. Can you explain the unique governance structure of Hilti briefly?
I don't know if it's unique. It's our way. Maybe others do better, even better. But what we have a clear check and balance. What we don't want that one, board is overruling the other boards. It's also the way the composition of the board is structured. Who is in the board? Who cannot be in the board? We have a clear, also here clearly rules what you can do, in what position you can be and not, and that creates also clarity, but also that everybody exactly knows where he stands.
Mr. Hilti, does the Hilti family have a constitution? Do you have a family constitution?
Yeah, it's good question. We just finished one now. We never had one before, really. Okay, we have the trust. The trust deed has quite a lot of regulations in. It's more than 60 pages. So there's a lot of family thinking behind it. But then we said, okay, we need a constitution also for the family members who are not the trustees, who are not beneficiaries. Yeah? And in the beginning, I faced a certain resistance from one of my brothers, because he said, we don't need that, everything is clear. And then when we started the process, it was very helpful, and it brought the family much more together, much more understanding, and now we have it.
So is it foolproof? Is it foolproof to challenges like the pandemics or war, or how foolproof is your family constitution, and how do you make it foolproof?
I think nothing is foolproof. It's always a part of evolution, And I look at the trust deed, when we started the trust in the 80s, and where we are now, that's permanent evolution. And the same thing with the family constitution, for sure. But the important thing, it's not only you write it down, you live it. And by living it, you also learn what's working well and what's not working not well, and what you have to do.
So how are you ensuring that you live the family constitution?
Sorry?
How do you ensure that you live the family constitution?
Yeah, I try my best. Clear? No, it's clear. Okay, we have certain rules here, and when we have to adhere to, and if we violate them, they will stand up. I think it's important. It's not, the company, also the family is not controlled by one. I'm not the boss of the family.
Of course.
Yeah.
So how do you plan for black swan events, whether it is for the company or for the family?
How do you call it for? Sorry?
For a situation like a COVID, a black swan event.
Okay. We are used to work in so-called worst-case scenarios.
Okay.
We always do that. We have also in the trust, we have a clear, we put money aside if something happening really bad. We do the same in the company, where I say, okay, what can happen? So we are normally prepared. And we reacted, our team reacted fantastically, because we had in March, April, it was really looking very bad, but reacted really good. And you see it also from the figures. We came out with a black eye, I must say, out of this crisis. But what we do in this crisis, we always try to protect our people. It was in previous crises, like the financial crisis, or when the Gulf War was there, we had different crises there, which had an impact on the business. And the major was also, we should protect our people as much as possible. And this also maybe, if it would be a public traded company, would have a very negative effect on the stock market. Mm-hmm. But the long-term view, the long-term impact of the people having confidence in you, having trust in you, supporting also all the activities, is enormous. We made, for example, a program, put it on, and said, okay, we are here in Europe much more secure. We have social security systems which don't exist in many parts of the world. So we made an offer that, okay, you can buy in additional holiday days. Mm-hmm. And this money, which we save, goes in a special fund, which goes to Hilti team members who have not this support from government and social securities. And you can imagine the impact in the group, what we got back from the people, from the families, it's enormous.
Of course. So, Mr. Hilti, despite all the support that Hilti as a corporation provides to its employees, in this highly uncertain world, I'm sure that there's a lot of turmoil that individuals go through. So does Hilti also invest in the emotional intelligence of people? Does it train, or does it provide any kind of support for their emotional intelligence or their mental health?
For sure, we do that. We have a very broad program for everything, for these things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, important thing is we know, okay, we can't predict everything, but the thing is we have to keep the ability to react. And that on one side is important that you are financially strong, that you are your own boss and you can move whenever you want to move. And we are a very long-term shareholder. Our people know that, not somebody who says, okay, I will sell the company within the next 10 years. That's very important. And our systems, that we are very close to our customers with our direct sales system worldwide. This means also we see already very fast what's happening, you know. Mm-hmm. That's a huge benefit. Yeah, but of course you're pretty much exposed.
Of course. Mr. Hilti, we have a lot of participants from India, of course, because ISB is based out of India. And one of the questions which has come up is, what is your strategy for India?
The strategy for India is derived from our corporate strategy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely the same. You know, we want to be an excellent provider for the construction industry and the light industries. We also run a direct sales force there, mm-hmm. where we combine approaches with engineering and normal salesmen. Okay. So it's a strategy, you know, and what is important, all our organizations work very close together, so we share a lot of experience. So the Indian organization can also share from experience in Latin America, wherever it is. So we have a very open system that's very appreciated.
Is there any plan for Hilti to diversify beyond the construction industry?
No, we are already, say, in the energy industry, already in, you know, so E&I, we are in normal industry but we see so many opportunities still in our business that we stick to that. Okay. We had in the past, very, very early, you know, when the innovation was not so good anymore, we made some acquisition which didn't turn out so well. So sometimes it's better to stick to what you know and to make it better.
Being in the construction industry and energy industry, does Hilti place a lot of emphasis on the sustainable development goals that are developed by the United Nations, and what are the sustainability goals of Hilti itself?
Definitely. Okay. One is the whole everything circular. You know, that question of waste, mm-hmm. but it is also a question of health and safety, where we're very strong. You know, the way we treat people, what you try to do for the safety on the workers, what you do safety in the application. It's top of my mind. Yes, you know.
Right. There's one question, because you said that you take people you internally groom people for leadership positions, and most of the positions are basically people who are from Hilti. So what about people who are not internal resource? Is there no opportunity for them? What's in store for such people?
Maybe it was misunderstood. It is applies only for the executive board members.
Okay.
We take people from outside in the next level or a level lower for sure. You know, we have 30,000 people. We have about 10% turnover rate. So we get about 3,000 new members just for replacing the old ones, and then comes the growth factor. So there's permanent coming new people in, and when we need very special competence we don't have, of course we will also go out.
Right. Mr. Hilti, how is how do you manage dissent within family? You said that the family is very thin, but you did go through some dissent with your brother, and also going forward, if there is some kind of dissent within the family, what kind of provision is there in the constitution to solve those dissents?
If you have conflicts in the family?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we have to straighten it out. We have put down rules how if you have a dispute and discussion, how we're going to treat it. Mm-hmm. That we have a moderator in between, and then the next level. But we try to do, especially we said, okay, we want to do it inside the family, and not involving lawyers and other people.
Of course.
Let's see. until now we were able to do it.
So where do you see Hilti 10 years from now?
Even higher, even better, more excellent. You know, we have. I think we are on a good way. And also, new strategy will not be a completely new strategy because it will build on the success factors of the present strategy. And you know, when I look the strategy today, what it was 2014 when it was introduced, and where we stand today, there were quite some new factors already part of this strategy because it's also evolution. It's not made in stone. And of course, digitalization will play a much bigger role. We are very much also looking at to what extent software will play a much bigger role, you know, beside hardware and serviceware. We have about now 1,000 software engineers in our company already. So, you know, we have programs for asset management for our customers, fleet management, but there are much more to do. And this will change a little bit.
Of course.
But we're open to that. You know, I think it's very important that you're open to everything.
Yes. Mr. Hilti, we see a trend that there are so many entrepreneurs who sell their business for high valuations, and you know, they get private equity. They are very fast or it seems like an easy thing to dilute your stake. Hilti, on the contrary, was once a listed company, and then you became 100% privately owned. So what is your thought behind it? And don't you ever get, don't you ever think that let's dilute some stake, let's cash out? So what's your thought behind being 100% family-owned business?
Well, first of all, okay, when we went on the stock exchange in '86, we went with non-voting shares, you know, so-called participation shares. And that was very fashionable at that time. For our generation, for the young generation, it was extremely important because we became transparent. Before, it was a little bit like many family companies are a black box, you know. You didn't really know exactly what the profit are, where it comes from. So this was very important because I had always the fear, I'm convinced that what people don't know, they can't change. So this was a good step. In 2003, we had about 2 billion Swiss francs liquidity in the company, but nothing for acquisition. Then we said, and then the management started a little bit to do more business on the financial side. And then we said, no, that's not the way. We have to stick on the core business of Hilti, and that's what we're doing now, and not financial transactions. And then we bought back the shares in the market, which now, that's why we are now 100% family-owned and trust-owned. And at that time also we said, never say no, you know. But for the time being, and you know, it would be only if we have a huge transaction which we could not do, we would go to the public. Otherwise, of course, we use the capital markets with bonds and everything, but we are okay like this.
Okay. Mr. Hilti, one question which comes as a clarification, that what is the role of the Speaker of the Family Trust, and how does it differ from the chairman position? How do the Speaker of the Family Trust and the chairman of the company work together?
You know, okay, they work very close together, but because we have 3 trustees, normally are at the same time a member of the board of Hilti AG, so that connection is there. We understand the strategy very closely, the management development, all these things. The chairman of the board has a much more outside-oriented function than the Speaker of the trustee. The trust normally doesn't go really in public. It is the trust, and we over operational matters we don't speak. What sometimes speak is the foundations under the trust, where we do idealistic things, like we have the Art Foundation, we have the foundation, the family Liechtenstein, we have the Hilti Foundation. who is very much in social projects. There we speak out, but the trust normally stays back. And so the speaker as such is more a coordinator, but not very important to say. It's primus inter pares of the trustee.
So, Mr. Hilti, all the philanthropic activities of the family, it is done through the Hilti Foundation?
Sorry, all the
CSR activities and philanthropic activities of the family done through the foundation?
No, we have this two foundations where we are working on the CSR, and the Hilti Foundation is now originally was founded by the trust, but is now a joint venture. So not joint venture, is now a joint approach by the Hilti company and the trust. Where we have 3 major focus areas. We have one focus area to how to develop young people. And we found out that, there were two ways to go. One was sport and one was music. And we said, with music, we can, the audience is much bigger, potentially, because you have also disabled people, you have girls in there and you have boys in there. So it's much bigger. And we found out that with music education and forcing them to play in orchestras, they learn to work in a team, they learn discipline, they learn to be on time, and they learn to have to train. Otherwise, they don't make it. So it's a good thing, and we do it in many countries now in the world. Right. The other one is affordable housing, where we came in and said, how can we help for people, underprivileged people, to get a house for a reasonable price? And we started a project in the Philippines to build houses with bamboo and houses which are typhoon resistant and have even better quality than concrete houses. Because people who have nothing, if they have a house, it is different. They're also part of the community. It goes further on. It goes in community development, so you can really change their life. And then the third one is major one is economic empowerment, where we help people to build up their own businesses. And we do this in Africa, especially, and there is about 90% it's women who are taking part, because they are the ones who are working really, and the success is fantastic. And then the Hilti Family Foundation Liechtenstein is more oriented over this area here in education programs as well, supporting also universities and also social programs.
Mr. Hilti, is there, firstly, I would like to know what is the attrition rate at Hilti Corporation, because you've been ranked as one of the top companies to work for and best companies to work for so long, so many years. So what is the attrition rate at Hilti?
The attrition rate is about 10%.
So,
you have to see. We have the biggest part of our employees is Salesforce. Yes. And this is a job you can't do the whole life.
Right.
In that area, because it's a pretty demanding job, huh? Mm-hmm. On the job sites and being all day out, huh? So.
Right, but is the average tenure of the executives and managers, in general, the employees at Hilti, is it higher than the industry standards?
I would say so, yeah. Very high. Because you see also, the new CEO has been 20 years already with Hilti. Mm-hmm. Christoph Loos, the one who becomes now chairman, has been even longer with Hilti.
Right.
Yeah. So now it's...
So, how do you deal with competition? While Hilti products have stellar quality and the Hilti brand is very well known, but for example, countries like India, it's a very price sensitive market, and people might go for a product which may not be branded but comes cheaper. So how do you compete in such markets?
You have to differentiate between the initial costs you have and the overall cost. If you buy something very cheap and, maybe it does your job very briefly, but then it is out of work, and you're out of work.
Right.
Whereas with the Hilti tool, you have different lifetimes, completely different service backups, everything like this. And this also, I appreciate very much customers who are getting used to this. You know, that this is something, okay, you can always make something very cheap, but I think you have to see that the overall offering and the overall offering is accepted by the market. And that's important.
Right.
And, you know, and being very close to customers, you know, if we do something wrong, I tell you, we get it immediately back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Hilti, this is the last question that I'm going to ask because I'm also cognizant of the time and I don't want to ask this question. But this question comes from Peru and it is probably a good closing question. You have a new chairman of the board. You have a non-family speaker of the family trust. You have your daughter coming into the company board. So do you have a retirement plan? What are your personal, how do you see yourself 5 years from now? What is your plan for the future?
You know, I always tend to say I was so active in my life, I hadn't time to get sick. And I want to keep, that. I want to keep that on. But it doesn't mean that I have to be all the time in the company. And with our foundations, there are so many challenges you come across, and I look life like a house. A house has many windows, and some people have only one window or one shutter open and look out. That's their view for the whole life. But if you go to slums in Brazil, and if you're in the Philippines, or if you're also another thing in the art business, and you talk to artists, and so you get so much other impacts and inputs to your life that makes your life so rich. Of course, I always have, I have so much a to-do list in my backlog. I have to do this. Maybe I should travel there. I've never been there. I've been in my CEO function about 5 months during the year on the road. But I didn't see the country. I saw the airport, the office, the construction site, the customer. So, okay, that's much to do. But I will not try to interfere with my daughter. She will find her own way. And I think this is right. My father did it with me, and I think that's the best thing to do.
Of course. Mr. Hilti, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Now, this was a very, very candid conversation. Hilti is such a strong example of so many things: culture building practices, ownership model, how you integrate culture into your DNA, not strategy, but your DNA, your succession plan, smooth transition, continuity. There are just so many best practices that we need to take away from Hilti. We must interact more because I'm sure there are many aspects that we did not touch upon. And there may have been, yes.
I have no, you finish and I have a last comment.
So there may have been a couple of questions which I have not been able to do justice to, but I hope most of the questions I have been able to ask you that came from the participants as well. So thank you so much for coming, and from all the participants from the team of Thomas Schmidheiny Center, we are really grateful and we enjoyed the conversation.
Maybe my last comment, you have to have fun what you're doing.
Yes.
And the people around you also have to have fun.
Absolutely.
And the moment if there's no fun, then please step out.
Absolutely. Thank you for those last words to us. We look forward to hosting you in India and at ISB. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everything all right?